All right, this is for the parents out there. We got a little session here. And for some of the kids, some of the athletes, get this workout off the board. I want to talk about what I would look for training for my kids, for my athletes, for my boys who are young athletes. Young being the key word. They're not at the peak of what they're ever going to be, but that's not even that important. One thing that I'll never use in any marketing that I do, one thing I'll never use for out west training here is create elite athletes. I'm not going to use the verbiage elite for this. I'm not going to talk about getting your kid to college when they're 10, 11, 12, 13 years old, especially before they've hit puberty. It makes zero sense. The development's not there. The kids who are high performers, when they're really young, you guys have seen them, they're scoring 20 points every basketball game. They're balling out, dominating their age group. That does not correlate to success in high school necessarily, and it definitely doesn't correlate to success in college if they're good enough to make it to college. One thing that I've talked about, no elite. That's something that's intrinsic. We can create better athletes, but elite is coming from maybe a genetic predisposition to hand-eye coordination or endurance or speed or power. We can always add to that, but you're not going to take I have two boys, for instance. One of them is an endurance athlete. One of them is a team sport athlete. He's good at soccer and basketball and baseball. The other one loves running long distances. It would be impossible to take my kid that runs long distances and have him run a 4.640. He doesn't have the genetics for it. He's got the genetics to get faster in the 400 and 800 and the 40 and 100. But if you look at his basic makeup, what he's good at, what he enjoys doing, what doesn't bother him physically, what if I say, hey, go take a 3-4 mile run, it doesn't even face him. I didn't even run 4 miles until I was 24 years old. I was doing fast stuff, explosive stuff. That's how my body was made up. So we're not going to take a kid who doesn't have the tools and create something out of nothing. It doesn't happen. There's got to be interest, there's got to be passion, there's got to be the need to walk out the door and go work on the game or play the game with friends, enjoy the game. They have to have fun with it. If you're not enjoying, these are games, guys. This is not life or death. We're playing games. These sports, they can lead to a cool life and they can lead to some really cool experiences and opportunities. But at the end of the day, we're playing games. And if the kid doesn't like the game, or if you have to beg them out the door, this word right here for sport, elite, is never going to happen. So we're not going to promote creating elite athletes. Now, we will promote teaching athletes how to move. We'll promote durability and strength, creating more powerful athletes. All those things are real. But usually when they come in, the kids who you are going to see from the outside as elite, they've been working their butt off, or they've had a natural ability in the sport that they're playing already. So we can really hammer down on that once they get past puberty and they have that work ethic. The younger kids, we're just trying to teach them how to move better so that when they do start picking up weight and pushing it around, it's going to be a little bit more impactful. So we're not going to preach the elite stuff. So we're not going to preach elite. So what you want to look for in your coach, the background is important, but the education, as far as a formal education in today's climate, it's not as important as it used to be. When I got out of grad school, I love to use all the big words that had to do with physiology and anatomy. At a certain point, you're speaking over your clients instead of trying to speak to them and coach them in terms that matter in a session or in a group setting or in a team setting. Those things don't matter anymore. And there's so much information. You can learn all of this stuff. So I don't think that a formal education matters as much. I have my master's in exercise science. I don't think it matters. Do they have some experience? Is everything talking about the highest level that you could possibly playing to parents' emotions? Are the coaches that you want to work with, are they playing on your insecurities as adults? And some of these insecurities, it's hit me as a parent as well. Some of these insecurities are, my kid's going to get behind if he doesn't do X, Y, and Z. My kid's going to get behind if he doesn't play competitive baseball from 10 years old on. My kid's going to get behind if he's not training 5 days a week. I had a coach recently out here give me a call to ask if my younger son wanted to play on this competitive baseball team. And during the conversation, I was told that if he doesn't start right now, he's going to get behind. I don't know if the person who called me knew my background or not, but to me, that is one of the biggest red flags because it plays on our insecurities as parents. And if your coaches are not prioritizing fun and fundamentals in the game that the kids are playing early on, then I would, for the door. That's really bad running right there. But I would run for the door. You should not feel guilty because you feel like you're missing out or you're not doing right by your kid, okay? They have plenty of time to up their skills. There's certain sports where you do have to start a little bit earlier if you want to be proficient. Like starting baseball when you're 16 years old, that's going to be a hard ask. There's too much hand-eye, there's too much technical skills. Starting golf when you're 16 or 17, people have done it. It's really hard. It's a very technical sport. But for physical sports like basketball, physical sports like football, wrestling, I put kind of on the technical side, but it's a very physical sport, especially for the bigger kids. You see a lot of big heavyweight kids, you know, in the heavier divisions do well when they pick it up later. But generally speaking, if they have any kind of base skill level and they love it and they're proficient, they have plenty of time. We're not worried about how good they are before they're 13, 14 years old, whenever they hit puberty. It's really the development after the puberty and the work ethic and the energy they put into it. So parents, don't fall for this. If your gut says that you want another summer with your kids or 6 weeks of summer with your kids to go travel or camp out or whatever you want to do, you can do that. The baseball team that I'm coaching out here, I'm coaching a competitive team for the first time ever because I had some kids age out and they were going to go do it anyway. And I love the kids and I love the families, so I'm doing it. But we're going to have a summer. We're going to be done by mid-June. We're going to have a month and a half or two left of summertime. And the parents are going to feel guilty and we're going to practice a lot and the kids are going to get better. But it's going to be really fun. They're 12 years old. And I kind of get tired of seeing parents fall for this over and over and over again. It's very painful. If your sport is playing 12 months out of the year and your kid absolutely loves it and there's no signs of burnout, they're not getting tired, they're not complaining to leave, they're the ones packing their bags and getting you out the door, maybe they can handle it. But I would say that for most kids in that younger division, we'll say that 9 to 12 or 13, they still need to be playing a bunch of different sports to develop that athleticism and to develop different skills on different fields and courts so that they can enjoy it. But man, feeling guilty, if it makes you feel guilty for not doing it, if you're pitched something and you feel guilty for not doing it, then I think I don't know if it's always a red flag, but I think you need to step back and see if you're doing this for you to have a kid that's good because it touches our ego when our kids are good at things, or if you're doing it for your kid. And as a coach and somebody who loves every single sport, literally every sport almost, I've felt this from pressure from what kids are doing and what other coaches are preaching. And it goes to training facilities as well. You know, like if your kid's not excited to come in and train and work with the coaches they're working with, if they're not building rapport with the coaches, if the other kids don't mesh, then just pay attention to that. I think that's important. So those insecurities for parents, we're not going to pitch the elite stuff. All right, the third thing that I'm going to talk about when it pertains to how to decide where to put your kids in activities and training and sport is it self-driven or is it parent-driven? Is it self-driven or parent-driven? Now, I think there's nothing wrong with a combination of the two. Some kids are going to be 95% self-driven. They love the sport or activity they're doing, and they need a little bit of parent. Some kids are going to be 90% parent-driven. They don't love it. Those kids are going to fall off a lot of times. Some combination of the two. I had a conversation with my youngest who's got really good hand-eye coordination, but he hadn't really played that much basketball. I was like, you're going to play this sport until you're decent at it, and then you can decide if you like it. And usually it's going to be a 1 or 2 year little period. I don't know if he loves it. He's gotten better at it, and he'll be able to make that decision here in a little bit. But that would be one of the situations where it's like kind of a 50-50, self-driven and parent-driven. If you're like 90% parent-driven, then that activity is not going to work out. Now, if you're 90% parent-driven with everything with that kid, then that's a discipline thing. Those are those parenting moments where you're just going to have to create some discomfort until they figure something out. Because I have a rule in our house, like you have to be training for something. You have to be physical. My wife is 100% on board with that as well. It might not be formal sports. It might be mountain biking or rock climbing or something that is going to test you and create some discomfort. We live in a very comfortable world, y'all. And if it's not coming from sport, it's going to come from something. But if everything is over in that parent-driven thing, then we got to change it up and change the expectations for that kid. But self-driven is going to be the best situation for the coaches and the kids when it comes down to it. And I think a lot of the kids, that 13 to 14 range is when they really start taking the reins on their own efforts. Younger, they don't really know how much effort to put in. A lot of parents don't know how much effort to put in. But if they keep pulling you out the door, then it's probably a good sign that they're in the right spot. All right, the last thing, this can do with coaching or this can do with sport, training, all of those things, is your kid reporting back on process or progress, or are you hearing that your kid is improving or progressing from their coaches? So the progress from third parties. I had a kid come in the other day who's a baseball kid. I can't write. It's brutal. He's a baseball kid, and he has been in the cage with his dad or one of his coaches, and they were commenting to him on how much more power he has. And I don't know what exactly it's from. It's probably a little bit of what we do here. It's probably from him practicing a lot. It's probably from him growing a little bit. There's a bunch of different things. But if you're seeing if your eyeball test tells you that your kid is progressing, the way they move, their footwork, the way they hustle, their mentality, if you're seeing that progress from your team sports coaching and from your training facilities, places like what we do here, that's a really good sign. And we have had that type of comment a lot over here, which has been really cool. We've had a lot of that self-driven, like the kids that want to get in here, they're not complaining, they're heading out the door. It's not a drag them out. And there's been plenty of kids that have come in here and it's not for them. They're done after 3, 4, 5 sessions. It's either too hard or it's, sometimes it's too hard for the parents to get here. We understand that too. So I don't know, just some things to think about, summarize when you're looking for ways to push your kids and find places for them to fall in when it comes to sport, team sport, and individual sports. We're not personally going to use the elite stuff. That's red flag for me all day. We're not going to play to your insecurities. To me, that's a red flag all day. Like I said, if you feel guilty, run for the door. Are they self-driven or parent-driven or some combination of the two? If they're only parent-driven, we'll do our best to start being that third party to instill some of those things. If you're a parent, you know that coaching your own kid or having them clean their freaking room or whatever it is, it goes on deaf ears. But sometimes if someone they trust and somebody they like and that they see other kids and other athletes trusting is driving the bus for them a little bit, then this kind of skews over a little bit more to the self-driven, or at least they're excited about it, or at least they listen, which is hard to get your own kids to do sometimes anyway. And then the last one is, are you seeing progress from your eyeballs or from a third party? That just kind of happens naturally from the efforts. If you have a kid playing baseball that's been playing competitive ball at 10U, 11U, and you don't see the progress happening, that's either a lack of practice, a lack of knowledge, or a combination of both. And none of that's good. So there you go. Hope that helps a little bit.